I'm out here at the main 6-acre nursery this afternoon, early evening, and I'm doing some work to drain out the rainwater collection systems that we have here. We already got a good frost. I was lucky enough that the ball valves didn't burst. Normally with these IBC totes you get a little leeway, but you don't want to let them freeze solid or you can lose the whole plastic in there. And it's an opportunity, instead of just dumping the water, to actually do a little bit of earthwork, a little bit of sculpting. You can hear it draining right there. And so I can do some shovel work to send that overflow to a meaningful location. In other words, this large pond here. So let me explain what that's all about. For the rest of the winter, what I want is any rain, any liquid water that comes down through this channel and into these containers to be able to freely leave. I don't take them offline, I don't clean them, I just let them be open. And so this hose is going to come down. I'll get it a little bit more organized, but basically this will be the picture here, is water will be coming out of this. And I could just let it drain out, you know, I don't really need a ton of water now that we're coming into fall, but it'd be nice if whenever those overflow or whenever water is going to be wasted, that it's actually going towards the pond, that it's going to go somewhere where it can be held. And this is some food for thought. If you're draining out any large water collection, you can put where the water is leaving somewhere in the landscape to basically represent what a heavy rain would be doing right there. And with some shovel work, you can scrape and shave and aim it in directions that you care for. So I'll pause in a little bit and I'll set up the camera. I don't have my tripod, but I'll show you what I'm doing. But basically you get the idea, you can kind of chase it out. So what I'm doing now is starting to shave so that the water goes this way and over and into the pond in a very gentle way. I'm not trying to channelize it, but I am trying to coax it. And the more I do that, basically I can chase that all the way out to this walkway. And what'll happen then is heavy rains in this watershed onward can now be directed towards the pond. I want a lot more water to be aiming towards that pond. Let me set up the camera somewhere and show you what I mean. There's no fancy gear here. There's no measurement tools or laser or any of that kind of stuff. Just an inexpensive shovel. It behooves you to take a flat file and sharpen the leading third of the shovel. If you do this kind of work, it really helps shave soil. But I'll be honest, I didn't do that with this and it still works just fine. And you can see, I don't know, 20 seconds or so, while the water's flowing, a little shave, and I can see that it's going that way. And what's nice about this, it's a gentle, iterative process. You do a little bit, let it rest, see how it works. I'm hitting a root there, so this is a little bit awkward. I'm holding the camera with one hand and shaving with the other. But there you go. You can see I shaved there, and now the water's moving in that direction. So I'll shave some more, and tie it up to that spot and see if it aims towards the pond. I've mentioned this idea in a ton of videos, but I don't think it hurts to keep repeating. If you don't have measuring tools, and in fact I don't have, I know I could build an A-frame, I could buy a laser level, but with a shovel and moving water I can get the exact measurements I need as far as send water this way, send water that way, just by that little bit of shaving. And it's as accurate as it needs to be because it's as accurate as is water, which is perfectly accurate. And since that's the medium ultimately that we're trying to modify and have some agency over, or some control over, I guess, then might as well work with that material. And you can see it's flowing in that direction. I'm not stomping on the shovel and coring out huge deep shovelfuls. This will all be compatible with mowing and walkways. It's a very gentle, very subtle slice right there. I could seed that out to clover in the spring and it would still act as a way to shunt water towards that pond. It's also an opportunity to sneak out some weeds, break up some nice loose topsoil, and flip that on the nearest raised bed. Certainly it'll be weedy in the spring, but with some good freeze thaws through the winter, it'll be easy to pluck those weeds out and plant out something nice and meaningful on that raised bed. We're finding this pattern works out incredibly well. Just always dumping material where you want permanent beds to be. In fact, in the summer, this was from subsoil from the pond. I'll pull one just so you can get a sense of it. These are purple top turnips. They're not all this size, but that sort of pattern of dumping material nice and loose, ideally with logs and stuff on the inside, Hugelmound style, can be pretty productive in getting you a lot of food. So it's a cover crop, but it's also hundreds of pounds of food for us. So shave and toss, throw some seed, rinse and repeat. Do what you need. Almost like a little poem, I guess, but kind of cheesy. It's on its way. I can see that the soil is still very thirsty from such a long, dry summer. So a lot of the water that's traveling through here is not just going directly towards the pond, it's actually going towards hydrating the soil. But that's great. Just all these circuitous, sneaking swales in the landscape. I'm going to let it run for a little bit and check back in once it's just about ready to pop into the pond and talk about how to reduce the erosive force of that water running directly into a pond. It's probably about 1/6 of the way drained, so lots more water to come out. Still going to that same spot. I can move that ultimately if I need to. Shave this a little more. You can see it is definitely scurrying along on its way. Now here's something to consider. We want this water and the watershed that is involved in this to aim towards the pond. What we don't want to do is have a ditch that just cuts, boom, straight into the pond, dump right in. That's asking for erosion, it's asking for sedimentation. And so instead what I'm going to do is once the water gets close to beginning to go into the pond, is actually coax it to wrap around and follow this very top walkway. And ideally this will all be a swale so that incoming water can fill that whole space, slowly filter in, overflow gently, gently, gently down into the pond and ultimately fill it up down there. If I can get that right, I'm going to reduce erosion to basically zero, and I can play that game out from all the different areas where I'm hoping to have surface water enter into the pond, not like a jet stream, but like a really, really slow grading snail, if I can. Slow it, spread it, sink it. I moved the hose a little bit closer just so I could move the process along. And you can see now the water it's at a crossroads, it's making a decision. Where do I go from here? It just went over that little berm and it's on its way in. This is a very low rate of flow, so it's not going to be destructive in this case, but it gives me a hint that if I don't do this, again, bear with me, if only I had a tripod. You can see I've shaved that. I'll toss that up onto this bed out of the way. And now the water still is going over there. Let's make a little more of an adjustment. I'll chase it in the way I want to begin going along this really long, circuitous, gentle path. I can take the material from that and dump it here as an impediment. I can step it out. That's another opportunity. Each slice here can be material here to help encourage that 90-degree turn. But you get the idea. The more I can send the water across this long pathway, the better, for sure. I think you get the idea. This could be from an overflow of a rainwater collection system. It could be from the diversion of a creek, or dealing with a spot where flowing water exceeds its bounds periodically and you need to send it elsewhere in the landscape. The theme I always want to put forward: whichever way you move water, try to do so in a way where you're aiming in the direction you want it to go, but you're having it go on the slowest, most gentle path, meandering, interactive path it can on its way to that destination. So ultimately, I want all the water down in the bottom. I'm in no rush. Let's get it around, maybe even all the way around that walkway, and then down into the bottom. So I think this could be applicable in a wide variety of situations. Hopefully it makes sense. Ask me questions if you've got them. Chat amongst yourselves in the comments. And hopefully wherever you are, if water is coming down from the sky, melting from the snow, flowing out of some tanks that you need to drain for the winter, or otherwise, it's an opportunity to suggest where it can flow in the landscape, and then you can continue to make adjustments in the future. So no measuring tools whatsoever, just a shovel and your eyes and your body, and you can do it. Thanks for watching.